All right, you degenerates, welcome back to another deep dive.
Back for more punishment.
You know it. And this time, we're going straight to hell, baby. Straight to Abbey Road, the Beatles' final, what some call masterpiece.
Yes, supposed masterpiece, right? You know, the zebra crossing, all that.
Oh, we know the crossing.
But trust me, we're gonna uncover some shit about this album that'll make your head spin. Even if you think you know Abbey Road, you're in for some surprises.
Let's start with that damn cover, shall we?
You want to dive straight into the Paul is dead conspiracy?
Why not?
Bold move. So that photo, right? It's iconic.
Sure, iconic.
But it's also the mother of all Beatles conspiracy theories.
People actually believe that crap. Seriously.
Oh, dude, you wouldn't believe how far down the rabbit hole people went with this. They analyzed every goddamn detail. Like Lennon's in white, right?
Yeah.
He's a priest.
Yep.
Or some shit. Ringo in black. The Undertaker, obviously.
Okay, but Paul's just walking.
Barefoot. Out of step.
Come on.
The dead man, dude.
You know, that crosswalk is a legit landmark now, Gabe.
Yeah, it's insane. It's grade second listed, officially protected.
No way.
Like, you can't even drop a cigarette butt on that thing without some historical society having a meltdown.
People really worship that pavement. It's nuts.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
While all the tourists are busy jacking off on that crosswalk, let's get into the actual music, yeah.
About time.
Abbey Road was recorded right after those infamous Let It Be sessions.
Ah, Let It Be.
Which was basically the Beatles at their most dysfunctional.
A total shit show.
And this was supposed to be their back to basics moment. You know, their last attempt at making something decent out of the wreckage.
A noble effort.
Did it actually work, though?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, they were definitely less volatile during the Abbey Road sessions.
Less volatile.
But let's not forget, George Martin, their legendary producer, he was pretty fucking done with their shit.
Yeah.
He basically laid down the law.
What did he say?
Stop the bullshit or I'm out of here. No more drama.
Good for him. I mean, the guy was a genius, but even geniuses have their limits, right?
Right.
So, what kind of vibe did we end up with on Abbey Road? You said back to basics, but it's all over the place, isn't it? Rock, pop, blues.
You hear some prog rock in there, too?
Yeah. A little bit of everything.
It's a wild ride. You've got those classic pop tunes.
Right.
But then they throw in these experimental tracks like, I Want You. She's so heavy.
Oh, yeah. That one's a total mindfuck.
Super heavy, bluesy riff, unconventional structure, then bam, that abrupt ending. It comes out of nowhere.
Definitely keeps you on your toes.
Hello.
We also can't forget the whole tech side of Abbey Road. This was their first rodeo with an 8-track recorder, right?
Yeah, their first foray into the multi-tracking world.
What's the big deal with that? Like, what does it even mean for the music?
Think of it like this. They had more space to play with.
More space.
More tracks meant more overdubs, more layers. You know, it allowed them to get really experimental with the sound.
Makes sense. So Abbey Road sounds different, more polished.
Way more layered than their earlier stuff. It was a revolution, man. Changed the game completely.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Hit me.
Let's talk about these songs, but I want the juicy stuff.
You want the dirt.
The drama. All the behind-the-scenes shit you dug up. Spill it.
Let's start with Come Together.
My favorite.
You know that Lennon wrote that for Timothy Leary's political campaign.
What? Are you serious?
Dead serious. We're talking about the LSD guru running for governor of California, no less.
You were telling me Lennon was writing campaign songs for an acid-dropping hippie?
That's the story.
What the fuck? That's a wild origin story.
It gets even weirder. Lennon got sued for plagiarism by Chuck Berry because of the line, "Here come old flat top."
So even rock gods steal sometimes.
Apparently.
How to get out of it?
Settled out of court. Agreed to record 3 of Berry's songs on his next album. Expensive inspiration.
I guess you can't put a price on a classic. Okay, let's move on to something, which is pure gold, right?
Pure gold. Even Frank Sinatra, who, you know, wasn't exactly a fan of hippie bullshit, called it the greatest love song ever written.
Sinatra knew a good tune when he heard one. What else you got?
How about this? Lennon actually played piano on that track.
Really? I never knew that.
Most of it got buried in the mix, though. It's like a ghost of Lennon haunting the song.
That's pretty cool. All right, brace yourself. We're going into the danger zone now.
Hit me.
Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Oh, that one.
From what I've heard, this is where McCartney's inner control freak really took over.
He got ugly.
And the rest of the Beatles, they were not having it.
Not at all.
McCartney's perfectionism went into overdrive, right?
Yes, torture.
I mean, the song is catchy, but also kind of repetitive.
Like, a little bit of Maxwell goes a long way.
What did the other guys say about it?
Well, Harrison, he called it granny music. Said it was a real drag to record.
Yeah.
Uh,
What about Ringo? He was usually pretty laid back.
Even Ringo lost it. Called it fucking torture.
Wow. McCartney really pushed him to the edge. No doubt.
What about Len? He just sat this one out, right?
He hated it, called it granny music shit, and basically refused to play. He'd show up, strum a few chords, and then vanish.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, let's get out of this granny music hellhole and talk about, oh, Darling. Another McCartney masterpiece, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was going for a specific sound with this one, like a doo-wop vibe. You know what Frank Zappa was doing at the time?
Yeah, I can hear that.
McCartney was obsessed with getting it right. Insisted on recording the vocals fresh every morning for a whole week just to capture that raw, live sound.
Damn, that's dedication. But betcha anything Lennon thought H.E. should have sung it.
Ding, 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 we have a winner! What a surprise. There was always this rivalry between them, right?
Constant power struggle.
It's fascinating and kind of sad, you know?
They were brilliant together, but their egos were always clashing.
Okay, time for Ringo's moment in the sun. Octopus's Garden. This one is a classic. Pure Ringo charm, man. Where the hell did he get the inspiration for a song about an octopus's garden?
From a yacht captain, believe it or not, during a fancy cruise.
Seriously.
Ringo, he was living the high life, and this captain told him about how octopuses collect all sorts of shiny trinkets and arrange them in their gardens. Ringo's mind was blown.
The song was born.
A song was born.
Ringo, the ultimate chill dude, finding inspiration in the strangest places. So did he write the whole thing himself?
He gets the songwriting credit, but Harrison helped with the melody. It was one of their early collaborations, actually.
Okay, back to Lennon Land.
Yeah.
I Want You. She's so heavy. This one's intense.
It's heavy, man.
And then it just ends. It's like someone hit the kill switch.
You know that's a love song for Yoko Ono, right?
Had to be.
But Lennon, he wanted the lyrics to be super minimal, almost like a mantra, you know? The intensity, it's all in the music.
And that abrupt cutoff. Did they run out of tape or something?
Nope.
What happened?
Pure Lennon. He told the engineer to cut it right there, in the middle of the track. No fade out, nothing. Just bam, silence.
Bold move. I love it. You like that. What about that swirly sound in the background?
Yeah, what is that?
That's Harrison again, this time messing around with a Moog synthesizer.
The Moog. That's some trippy shit.
Yeah, Abbey Road is full of those little sonic experiments. Like they were already hinting at the future of music, pushing boundaries, even as the band was imploding.
All right, let's lighten things up a bit. Here Comes the Sun.
One of my favorites.
This one is pure sunshine, man. Lifts my spirits every damn time.
Harrison wrote it while hanging out at Eric Clapton's garden, actually.
Rock royalty, just chillin', writing tunes. Amazing. But Lennon's not on this one, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
He was still recovering from that car crash, the one he and Yoko were in.
Right, right.
So yeah, another missing Deedle moment.
Speaking of missing, let's talk about that monster on side 2. That medley. It's like a mini rock opera.
16 minutes of pure Beatles magic.
They were definitely going all out with that one. So how the hell did they even come up with that idea? It's not like medleys were common in rock music, right? It was a group effort, but McCartney was the main driver behind it. He had this vision, right? To create one continuous flow of music. A journey through all these different styles.
Okay, I can see that.
And, you know, George Martin. He helped shape the structure, smooth out the transitions.
It really does flow well.
Even though behind the scenes they were falling apart.
Amazing.
It's wild, right? You have this polished, sophisticated music.
Right.
And then you have the band basically imploding.
Total contradiction.
Uh,
Okay, let's break down this beast. What are some of the standout tracks on the medley?
Well, it kicks off with You Never Give Me Your Money.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically McCartney bitching about their shitty finances.
And their shitty manager, Alan Klein.
Right. And you know what? Lennon actually plays a killer guitar solo on that track.
No way. Lennon actually cared enough to play on a song about money. What comes after that?
Sun King. Total sonic trip. 3-part harmonies.
Love those harmonies.
It's got a Beach Boys vibe, but with a darker psychedelic edge.
Nice. Then we're back to Lennon Land.
Yep.
Mean Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam. Quick bursts of Lennon wit.
Classic Lennon. Sharp, cynical. Then it's back to McCartney.
4-song sprints.
That's lay it on me.
First, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. A song about a fan breaking into McCartney's house.
You're kidding me.
Dead serious.
Dedicated fan. Hope she brought a decent housewarming gift. What else?
Golden Slumbers. A gorgeous lullaby.
Based on that 17th century poem.
Then Carry That Weight brings back themes from You Never Give Me Your Money.
Yeah.
And all four Beatles sing on it, like a moment of unity amidst all the chaos.
I love that. And then the grand finale.
The end.
Epic.
Ringo's only drum solo on a Beatles record.
That's right.
Then that legendary three-way guitar solo, George, Paul, and John. And then, of course, that last line.
And in the end, the love you take
Is equal to the love you make.
gives me chills every time. Powerful way to end the medley, and the whole album, really. But wait, there's more.
There's always more.
What about that hidden track, Her Majesty?
The accidental masterpiece. What's the story there?
It's a 23-second snippet that almost got tossed in the trash.
Right.
It was supposed to be part of the medley, but McCartney, he hated it.
But how did it end up on the album?
By accident.
Seriously?
The engineer, he was following George Martin's never throw anything away rule, so he stuck it at the end of the master tape.
Wow.
Then, the mastering engineer, he included it on the final cut. The Beatles heard it, had a laugh, and decided to keep it.
You're telling me a happy little accident created music history? That's hilarious. Okay, we've covered the zebra crossing, the Paul is dead craziness, the recording drama, the hidden track. What else you got for me?
We're just scratching the surface, man. Buckle up. You want to go deeper into Abbey Road?
Let's get technical, baby.
All right, buckle up.
How did these four guys, who started out playing skiffle music in some dingy Liverpool pub, end up creating this sonic masterpiece?
Well, it all comes down to evolution, man.
Evolution?
They were constantly evolving as musicians, and technology, that played a huge role, too.
Okay, hit me with some tech talk. What was so revolutionary about Abbey Road?
Remember we talked about that 8-track recorder?
Yeah, the fancy new toy.
That thing wasn't just a toy, it was a game changer. It gave them all this space to experiment, to layer sounds, to create these crazy overdubs.
So they basically became mad scientists in the studio.
Exactly. Take Here Comes the Sun, for example.
Okay, love that one.
Harrison, he layered all these acoustic guitar tracks to create that shimmering sound.
It does sound huge.
It's just a wall of sound, but it's all just him.
No shit. I always thought it was a whole band playing.
Just George, man. Playing the same part over and over, each take slightly different.
Damn, that's some serious guitar wizardry.
And don't forget about the Moog synthesizer.
Oh yeah, the trippy space sounds.
It adds this incredible texture to tracks like I Want You. She's so heavy.
And even Maxwell's Silver Hammer, right?
Even Maxwell. The Moog was still pretty new back then. Not many bands were using it.
So Harrison was kind of a synth pioneer.
He was definitely ahead of the curve. The guy was a bit of a gearhead, always eager to try new gadgets and sounds. He embraced that Moog, man.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, that side 2 medley, that was a bold as fuck move. Did they even realize they were creating something so unique?
I think they knew they were taking a risk. Medleys, they weren't unheard of in music, but they were usually for Broadway shows or like orchestral pieces.
Yeah, not exactly rock and roll territory.
But the Beatles, they took this old format and turned it into something completely new.
And they made it work. Those transitions, they're so smooth.
It's like one continuous song.
How did they pull that off, man?
Musical intuition, I guess. Even when they were at each other's throats, they still had this incredible ability to communicate musically.
Like a well-oiled machine, even with all the drama and tension. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It really is. It's like watching a supernova explode in slow motion.
So with all that tension, with Lennon basically already checked out, was Abbey Road a farewell or just another chapter in the Beatles story?
It's up for debate, for sure. But I think it leans more towards a farewell.
Yeah.
Especially that medley. It feels like a summation of their whole career. All their triumphs and struggles condensed into one epic piece of music.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like they're reflecting on their journey, saying goodbye.
And that last line on the end, it takes on a whole new meaning, right?
The love you take is equal to the love you make.
It's like they knew it was over, but they wanted to leave us with a message of hope.
Powerful stuff.
Deep shit, man.
Deep shit indeed. Okay, enough with the heavy stuff. Let's talk deep cuts.
You want to go beyond the hits.
What are some of the hidden gems on Abbey Road that deserve more love?
Okay, let's talk about Because.
Okay.
It's gorgeous, ethereal. Those 3-part harmonies are insane.
It is a pretty track.
You want to know what inspired it?
Lay it on me.
Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata.
No way.
I'm not kidding. Beethoven and the Beatles, who would have thought?
What a mashup. Okay, I'm definitely checking that out again.
And then there's Sun King. A psychedelic journey, man. The lyrics are basically gibberish, but the music is pure magic.
You're making me want to revisit the whole album with fresh ears.
You should. You might even find something new to appreciate about Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Maxwell? Really?
Yeah, people dismiss it as a silly novelty song, but I think there's a darkness to it. A macabre humor that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. I guess it is kind of creepy.
It's catchy, but disturbing. Classic Beatles, always playing with those light and dark contrasts.
Okay, let's dive deeper into the rabbit hole. What other weird and wonderful shit did you dig up?
How about some almost tracks? The songs that didn't make it onto the album.
Okay, intrigue me.
Harrison actually recorded demos of All Things Must Pass and Old Brown Shoe during these sessions.
No shit. Those ended up on his solo album, right?
Some of his best work. They almost made it onto Abbey Road.
Why didn't they?
Who knows? Maybe the other Beatles were jealous of Harrison's songwriting. Or maybe the songs just didn't fit the vibe.
Man, I wonder what the album would have sounded like with those tracks. It would have been a whole different beast.
It's fun to imagine, isn't it? Maybe it would have been too much Harrison. Or maybe it would have been even more brilliant.
Who knows?
But it's cool to think about.
Right. It just shows how much creative energy was flowing, even with all the drama. Okay, enough with the what ifs. Let's talk about the legacy of Abbey Road. How has this album influenced music?
It's huge, man. That cover photo alone, it's iconic. Parodied countless times.
Everyone wants a piece of that zebra crossing.
It's a pilgrimage for music fans. People travel from all over the world to recreate that photo, to walk in the footsteps of the Beatles.
And musically, what's the impact been?
Well, that Side 2 medley, it was a game changer. It showed other musicians that you could create a long, epic piece of music out of all these different elements. It inspired a whole generation of artists to experiment with longer, more ambitious song structures.
Like who? Give me some examples.
Bands like Yes, Genesis, they were definitely influenced by the Beatles' willingness to experiment. And later artists, like Jeff Lynne, Electric Light Orchestra, they took that studio wizardry from Abbey Road and ran with it.
Yeah, they definitely have that Beatlesque sound.
A whole genre was born out of that experimentation.
And what about the individual songs? Have they been covered by other artists?
Oh, yeah, something. Here Comes the Sun. They're like standards now. Everyone from Frank Sinatra to Joe Cocker to Ray Charles has covered them.
What about the less popular tracks?
You'd be surprised. Come Together has been covered by Aerosmith, Tina Turner. Even Maxwell's Silver Hammer has seen some interesting interpretations.
Maxwell, come on.
Believe it or not, Steve Martin did a banjo version.
Steve Martin, the comedian.
The one and only.
That's amazing. I got to find that.
Okay.
You've convinced me. ATTRIBUTIONS is more than just a classic album. It's a phenomenon, man.
It's a touchstone, something that continues to inspire musicians and fans.
A testament to the Beatles' genius.
Absolutely. They left behind music that transcends time, you know. It still resonates with people today.
All right, we've explored the highs and lows, the almost tracks, the legacy of Abbey Road. What else you got?
Okay, let's shift gears for a minute.
Hit me.
Let's talk about the release of Abbey Road.
Okay.
How it landed on planet Earth back in 1969.
Yeah, the world was a different place back then.
No internet, no social media. People were probably still using carrier pigeons to communicate.
How did they even promote albums back then?
It was a lot slower, a lot more organic. Radio play, print reviews, record stores. It was all about building anticipation.
Creating buzz.
Exactly. And Abbey Road created one hell of a buzz. It topped the charts, both in the US and the UK. Sold millions of copies.
So everyone was on board. No one hated on it.
Not exactly. The critics were pretty divided, actually. Some loved it, called it a masterpiece.
And the others?
Thought it was too polished, too slick. They missed that raw energy from the early Beatles, you know, that Hamburg grit.
So even the Beatles couldn't please everyone, huh?
Guess not.
Okay, so the critics were split, but the fans loved it, right?
Oh, yeah. The fans were eating it up.
What about the band? How did they feel about all the success?
Well, it's complicated. By that point, the band was basically on life support. Lennon was done. Harrison was exploring his own thing. And McCartney, he was trying to hold everything together.
So it was a bittersweet victory, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Like winning a Grammy while your house is burning down.
Exactly. It was a commercial triumph, a creative peak. But it was also a farewell. The Beatles, as the world knew them, were over.
Damn. It makes that last line on the end hit even harder. The love you take is equal to the love you make.
It's like they knew it was over, but they wanted to leave us with a message of hope.
So why does Abbey Road still matter today? Why are we still talking about it?
It's more than just nostalgia, man. Abbey Road is a reminder that you can create something beautiful even when everything is falling apart.
Damn. Now you're making me think.
It's a cultural touchstone, It captures a time when the world was changing, everything felt uncertain.
And the music.
It reminds us that music can connect people, it can inspire, it can console.
Well said. Okay, I think we've officially squeezed every last drop of knowledge out of Abbey Road.
I think so.
Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up this deep dive?
Just this. Go back and listen to Abbey Road again. Really listen. You might be surprised at what you hear.
Okay, you beautiful bastards. That's a wrap on our deep dive into Abbey Road. We went from zebra crossings to hidden tracks, from plagiarism lawsuits to trippy Moog sounds. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, had a few laughs, and maybe even had your mind blown. Until next time, keep the music playing, and remember, the love you take is equal to the love you make.